Hello and good evening everybody. My name is Claire Turner-Marshall and I would like to welcome you onto this webinar with myself and the phenomenal Suhail Khan. We are going to be talking to you this evening about how Suhail has achieved the things that he's achieved. Some of you may know his story in that he made it all, lost it and then made it all again. And I met Suhail earlier this year and just connected with him immediately, was so impressed with everything that he did. I started introducing him to some of my connections, and quite simply, he's somebody that you really need to listen to, because when it comes to knowing the right way to do things, this guy really has got the right idea, the right strategies, and most important, the right connections to actually make things really phenomenal. So Suhail, fabulous to be with you this evening, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with me.
Thanks Claire. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So I've got some questions to ask you, and please share with us as much as you can, because I think it's so key for the audience to get as much out of this as possible. And when somebody has achieved the things that you've actually achieved, it's it's the questions that people really want the answers to how did you actually do it. So what was it that got you into the joint venture world to start off with, Suhail?
Well, basically, how I started. Oh, do you have your? You want to put your volume down a bit there?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay. So basically, if most people know my story, I can still hear. There you go. Okay, brilliant. So basically, if most people know my story in terms of how I got into joint ventures, I originally, and I won't go too much in depth into it because it takes about 30 minutes to tell the story, and most of you probably already heard it. I built an 8-figure business using just joint ventures, and I was a student of Jay Abrahams, who's very well known around the world on joint ventures, and I spent my time building these connections and doing joint ventures and building an 8-figure corporate training company. And then in 2006, I sold a majority stake to a large firm, a £100 million, $160 million company, IT group here in the UK, and sold a majority stake, part cash, part equity, and then in 2008, that company went bust, and I lost everything, and I resonate with a lot of people who have gone through, losing near enough everything, especially during the recession. A lot of people have been hit and still recovering. I literally ended up losing everything. I went from being a multi-millionaire to totally broke. But one thing I learned was, the way I built that business originally was via joint ventures. So that was a skill that I had that I could go back to. And using that same skill, I set myself a challenge in 2009 to make £1 million in 12 months, and actually did it in 30 days. I did a big joint venture with a direct mail company who had over 4.2 million customers, and came back strong. And ever since then, it's been a whirlwind over the last couple of years, having spoken worldwide at many events and teaching other people how to become successful at doing joint ventures, and also flying around the world consulting for companies. And teaching them and their team how to do joint ventures. So that's pretty much the backstory in terms of how I built myself originally, lost everything, and then came back using the power of joint ventures. And today, now I'm also around the world, I'm known as the joint venture expert. So that's pretty much the story, Claire.
Fantastic. So after you started your business, how long was it before you actually sat back and had that I've done it feeling, where you were just sort of, pinching yourself that actually this was your life?
Well, it's funny you say that. The original business, my original business was consulting, but I built the corporate training company on the back of that as a showcase, and we were very profitable from day one. From day one, it was an online-based training company, and because our overheads were so low, we made profit from day one. However, we didn't realize what we had on our hands until 12 months later. But I would say just after 2002, when we hit £1 million turnover, basically 7 figures, is when I realized that we had a fantastic business on our hands that would be with us for a long period of time and be very and was very profitable as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. So in all of these sort of experiences that you've had, Suhail, what's the most critical lesson that you've actually learnt? And specifically that's aimed at, when you lost it all, tell us about how that actually felt and what were the lessons that you learned, what were the positives that you took from it?
Well, this is a story that I tell a lot when I'm on stage. It's like, I when I lost everything, I went on a spiritual journey to figure out what I do next in my life. But I realized that, the saying goes, once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. It's something that I did before, and inside me I knew how to do it, but I just had to find the path. A lot of people go through something called survival mode. A lot of people have emailed me this week about this webinar saying that, this is what's happening in their business and this is where they're struggling, and, they can't afford to pay for this, and it's a catch-22. But, I resonate with a lot of people when I hear those stories. But I think the biggest thing is you need to concentrate more on what's happening in your life that's positive. If we all sat down after going through what I did and looked at it in a negative way and kept asking yourself, could I have avoided it, or could I have done something different? It's just a waste, because that incident is now done. So you've got to look to the future. And basically, where I was right at the bottom. So for me, the only way was up, really. So coupled with that, and coupled with my determination to get back on my feet, I was fortunate enough, because I knew what I had to do and I'd done it before. It was just a matter of time and persistence, which got me there.
And how did you keep your mind focused, Suhail? Because I think that, the biggest problem that I find with a lot of the people that I work with, and I'm sure that you've come across this, well, you've just said you've come across it in the emails that you've received this week, but Andrew Carnegie told us that if we can control our mind, and if we can focus our mind and control it on the things that we want, then we can achieve anything. So after all that had happened to you, what was it that you did that helped you control your mind and focus it on what you wanted?
And this is something that I totally resonate with, and it's so true. If you can control everything stems from your brain, okay? Everything stems from your mind. Your mind pretty much controls the whole of your world. My belief is, where we are right now, it's my personal belief is we live in a temporary world, and your mind has the ability to shape that world around you. Now, for me, it was a lot to do with reading. I used to read a lot of books and be inspired. So you have to keep yourself inspired on a regular basis. You have to have something that you can hold on to. Last week I had a conversation with one of my coaching clients, and this person knew everything there was to know about the subject that they coach, but they had a confidence issue, okay? And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I've spoken to you, we've sat down, and I've seen what you do, and you still have these issues. That's because that particular person doesn't have a belief system in place. You need to have a strong belief system that you can attach yourself to, and then detach yourself from everything around you that is negative. So, and also at the same time, people always talk about negativity, bad things that are happening in their life. You need to talk about the good things that are happening in your life and concentrate and focus on that, because it comes down to momentum. Once you start the momentum towards taking action and getting there, you have to constantly keep up that momentum, and then eventually it happens. But like I say, that is what I believe is the most important thing, and it all stems from your thinking and your mind.
Yeah, and you know what? I completely agree with you, because I think that people fail to realise how powerful the mind actually is, don't they? And I think that one of the things that I always say to my clients is it is about focusing on what you want, because when you take new people on, you do have instances where you ask them what they want and they tell you exactly what they don't want and not what they do want, and I think that human nature, sort of majority of people, that's the way they react, don't they? But the thing that I always encourage people to understand is that RAS filter, that reticular activating system that's at the base of the brain, that is the thing that's pulling all the things to you that you're focusing on, and I think it's so important to understand the power of that, and the fact that when you do focus on the things that you want, then all of those things are brought to you. So I completely agree with you, and belief systems are so important, aren't they? Because without those belief systems, it's very, very difficult for you to believe in what you do. And like you say, I think it's quite interesting, isn't it, that a lot of people can come across as being extremely confident, and then when they're sort of, you know, in that one-to-one situation, they can, the true colours come out, don't they, in the sense that, you know, they can be quite shy. I mean, a lot of people don't really believe me when I say that actually I am quite a shy person, and they say, well, gosh, Claire, you always come across as really confident. And I am confident because of experiences that I've had in my life, but I am quite a shy person, and like you say, it's sometimes the hidden things that, you know, that really do surprise us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal, and you know, a lot of people should be able to look at that and be able to use that in terms of becoming successful. I think it's very important, and I'll give you an example. I'll give you a classic example. I mean, and this is where the brain, this is where how you think and your mindset comes into it in itself. I got approached a few days ago by a company actually based in New York, who basically they submitted details to find out about my I do a 15K 20K joint venture brokering program, where I have between 4 and 8 people, and I do it in London and Las Vegas, and it's a great program, and I get everyone in the group, and I train them over 3 days to become joint venture brokers. And this CEO of this company actually, we got on a phone call, and he said, look, I'm not really interested in attending that with a group. How about I fly you over to New York, put you up in a really nice hotel, and you give me a full day's coaching on exactly what you do. Instead of 3 days, I like to do it in break it up into 1 day. And it was phenomenal. You know, for that, this company is going to be paying me $25,000 for 1 day, just to fly out and basically teach the same program that I do for 3 days condensed into 1 day. And I was like, wow, I've only ever done that twice over the last 3 years. I've only ever done that twice. One for a very well-known internet marketer based over in Staten Island, and one for another guy, actually for another company, quite well-known company based in Atlanta. And this is quite phenomenal, because from that, I just got off a phone call from another finance company based in Miami, who want me to come out and teach their team over 1 day how to do joint ventures. And for that, again, the fee is phenomenal. So it's really amazing when you put yourself out there and you put the messages out there, what comes back. And you know, they talk about the law of attraction, and that is definitely it, and it's phenomenal. But one of the biggest things that I think everyone should be doing is building their platform, okay, and also specializing on something or a topic or an area that you can become an expert in very, very quickly. Now, for me, that's joint ventures and business growth, for example. I get, you know, asked to speak around the world because there is nobody apart from probably in the top 3. I'm probably number 3. Number 2 and number 1, they're both my mentors. So it's very important that if you want to be successful and get momentum very, very quickly, you know, focus on one thing, become a master at that, and then move on to the next. I mean, this is Tony Robbins. This is what he always says, and one of my mentors has always said that to me, that focus on one thing, become a master at that, become known for it, and then you can go and do whatever else you want. So that's very important that everyone concentrates on that.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you there, because again, you know, you talk to a lot of people and they tell you that they're doing this and that and the other, and absolutely, as you say, you've got to become a master of one trade. You've got to get that expert status, as you say, in one particular area, because by gaining that, it does mean that you do it far better than trying to do too much at once. And I always use the analogy that I say to people, look, you know, you can juggle one ball really, really proficiently if you practice put the second one in once you've mastered the first one, and you'll do really well. But if you try and juggle 5 or 6 at once, then you'll fail immediately and you'll end up dropping all of them because you didn't master how to do one first. So I think that's absolutely sound advice, really, really sound advice. So off the back of that then, Sahel, what are the habits that you've mastered that you do on a daily basis which you see as the really significant things that have contributed to your success?
This is going to sound really simple, but it is. It's taking action. Now, I am very fortunate that out of most of the things that I do, I have more successes than failures. But I still have failures, as in I still have things that don't work. I don't see them as failures. I see them as experience. Okay, I would see something that hasn't worked as an experience, and I try and tweak it until it does work. But for me, the biggest thing I have seen is just taking action. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect action, right? But you have to actually go out there at least every day. I'm doing something. So, this is the most important thing that I can say to anyone is that go out there every day and do one thing every day, whether it's for your business, whether it's to get new clients, whether it's to get new JV partners, whether it's, to build your platform. Every day you should be doing one, it's called MMA basically, a money-making activity, okay? It can be anything, but every day you must do one thing that leads you to that, because there's so many wasted hours in a day that people have, but you need to be able to do one activity every day that brings you closer to your goal.
And so you mentioned Tony Robbins in a couple of minutes ago, Sahel, and I know that one of the things I learned from Tony is about having a power hour in the morning and having that time in the morning where I set myself up for the day. Do you do any kind of activity like that yourself?
I used to. One thing that we used to do when I used to have my corporate training companies, we used to do something very similar. We used to have like a power hour with my team. So we used to set them up for the rest of the day. Pretty much, I always put my schedules in the night before, so I know what I'm doing the next day. And I have activities on that list that I do every day. I have 1 or 2 money-making activities that I do every day. So I do a lot of networking, a lot of connecting. I build relationships, and that's the biggest thing. I think one of the biggest success factors with what I do is building these relationships. Now, do not build relationships in terms of looking at it in terms of money, okay, like a dollar sign, because you're looking at building a long-term relationships that you can monetize over a period of time. Never think short-term, because the person that you're networking or communicating with or connected with may not have that opportunity right now, but there always may be that opportunity later on down the line. So there are always opportunities out there, but like I said, you have to keep on building these relationships.
Yeah, totally, and I totally agree with you. I think that there are occasions where you'll just strike it off with somebody and you'll do business there and then. But I totally agree with you. I think the power of building that relationship is absolutely critical, isn't it? And I think that's what builds the strength within the business as well, isn't it? And it makes it that it is a hell of a lot better business than it would have been because you've got that existing relationship and because you understand how each other works. And I think that's really, really key as well, isn't it?
It is, because there's a couple of people actually I can see on this, a couple of attendees on this webinar that I have met in the past, and even though we haven't done business, we've still kept in touch. So it's all about building and nurturing relationships with people. That's the most important thing that I think towards success. So people people have different definitions of success, but I think people need to be able to determine what it is that makes other people successful, and do they have the same traits. So it's very important to look at that, and replicating someone else's success is not a problem either. I've done certain things where someone else has done something that's worked for them, and I've tried it and I've put my own spin on it, for example, and it's worked. So there's no harm in doing that. Reading is very important. You must read to get into the minds of successful people and see exactly what they do and how they do it. things don't work all the time for everyone. For example, some people aren't into the big personal development world, or the hoo-ha, or the personal development. And I'll give you a classic example. I got invited probably two or 3 years ago now to I got invited by T. Harv Eker to one of his Millionaire Mind Intensive events, and it was a great event. I was there as a VIP guest, but for me it was weird because I had built a 8-figure business, and I know what it takes to be a multimillionaire, to work hard and build a business. But there's a lot of people in the room, and no disrespect to anyone who's on this call who's gone through that or enjoys going to those sort of events. If it works for you, it's great. A lot of people are in the room, and they do the chants like, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and okay, the intention is set, okay, but intention without action is nothing. Okay, so you can stand in front of a mirror all day and say, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'll be a millionaire, but intention without action, okay, is nothing. Intention without action, without strategy, won't get you anywhere. So you need all those 3 components in place. So for me, it was bizarre because I knew from being there already that there were a couple of people in the room who really, in my perception, I wouldn't see them get to that level or to that stage, because they need more crafting, okay, they need more molding, and they need more coaching or mentoring. So it's very important, and it's good to be in that environment and learn from it. But here's the thing, guys, and this is what I now teach to all my clients and all my students. I say to people, don't chase the money, right? Chase the lifestyle. That's one thing I've learned from losing everything. I could easily, ramp up and build an empire like I used to have before, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that, not responsibility, but the headache of running an empire, running a big empire. Okay, you're making 10, 20, 30, 100 times more money, but it doesn't give you that lifestyle. So I think lifestyle is more important than money in terms of, if you're going to chase something, chase the lifestyle that you want, because you don't have to be a millionaire to have a millionaire's lifestyle. Let me tell you that, okay? Because there's a lot of people out there I know who have fantastic lifestyles, but they're not really, in essence, they're not millionaires, okay? But you set yourself a goal and a target, and if that's what you want to achieve, that's fine. But like I say, don't always chase the money. Chase the lifestyle, because that's more important in my terms. That's because I've gone through what I've gone through, and that I prefer the lifestyle over the money. So for example, for me to make 7 figures a year, all I have is 4, 5 clients, and that's it. 4 or 5 big clients, that gets me 7 figures plus whatever else I do apart from that.
And I think that was an absolute key bit of advice there, and you're absolutely right. It is about the lifestyle, isn't it? Because I think that the problem with a lot of people is they say they want to be millionaires, but they actually don't really, they can't even comprehend what that means. And it's like the old sort of lottery scenario, isn't it? That it's sort of, what is it? The statistics are something like 70% of lottery winners are either broke or in a worse financial situation or bankrupt within 2 to 3 years of the win. And that's because, as you've just said there, to have more, first you have to become more, and you've got to change that internal blueprint for you to have it, because it's a little bit like setting a thermostat, isn't it, at say 22 degrees. If you set it at 22 degrees and the room sort of warms up a little bit, well then automatically the thermostat will kick in and bring the temperature back down again, and again vice versa. So what you've just said there is, you can chase the dream, but you've got to go from within, because by doing it from within, that's when you actually keep it and you change who you are.
And I think so. Having the millionaire status, it's just one of those things. I mean, and depending on what you want to achieve, that's the biggest thing you have to ask yourself. What is it you're trying to do, and also, look deep inside in terms of, is what you're doing, is it what you really enjoy? Because I have a lot of friends who, they make loads of money. I have friends who do really well, and they make so 7, 8 figures. But they've got to a stage now where for them it's more like fitting it into their lifestyle as well, which I think is very, very important. But I think the mindset is your biggest thing. The biggest hurdle you have is your mindset. On top of that, building your confidence at a level. And for that, you need to be in the right environment. You know, you need to be either part of a mastermind group, you need to have a good coach, a good mentor, for example, that can help you get to that level quicker than where you are right now. But here's the thing, guys. Everyone can achieve this, okay? It's not out of reach of anybody. But like I say, you just got to be, you got to take action, you got to be persistent, and you got to know exactly what it is you're aiming for. Because if you don't know what you're aiming for or where you're aiming, then you're really never going to hit that target, are you? So.
Yeah, and you're so true. I was listening to a CD from Success Magazine the other day, and it was the interview that Darren Hardy did with Brian Tracy earlier this year, and pretty much they talked about everything that you've just said there. It's, you know, Darren was saying that for years he worked out what he wanted to achieve in the business, and then his life fitted in around it. And then he said, you know, he had a coaching session and had this revelation where his coach kind of said to him, well, look, how about work out what lifestyle it is that you want and then get the business to work around that? And he kind of said, you know, it was revolutionary. I'd never really looked at it like that. He said, and it completely changed my life, because I think that's the key, isn't it? And you hit another key thing there, which leads me into my next question, and that's about having a coach or a mentor. So I'm going to be kind of quite to the point here, Sahel, and you know, let's be quite frank about this. A lot of people, you know, coach and say that they can do certain things, and you know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So what is it that's different about how you coach and how you get the results with your clients?
I think for me, it's a matter of I go out 150% for my students and for my clients, and I am very specific in terms of who I work with. I'm very fortunate to be in a position that I can select who I want to work with. And for me, you know, I do a lot of strategy sessions. Strategy sessions are great if you want to really identify the core people that you want to qualify and work with. Okay, so there's certain criteria that they have to meet, number one. Number two is, because I've done this already and I'm doing it, it's easy for me to pretty much, you know, replicate myself, whether it's with my students or whether it's with clients. I'm not, to be honest with you, and here's a confession, I'm not a big fan of coaching and mentoring because it takes up a lot of my time. I'm a very creative person. I'm a connector also, so I like going out there and doing stuff. But I am very good, very, very good. Actually, I'm very, very, very good at at solutions. Okay, at finding solutions very, very quickly. Put me in a room, ask me questions, give me a scenario, and I'll be able to craft a solution for yourself, for your company, for example, very, very quickly. So I'm very quick on my feet because I'm constantly getting knowledge all the time. I'm very fortunate as well to be in a position where I have very, very good relationships with a lot of very well-known marketers and very well-known business names. So I get most of this training for free, which is a benefit for you know, for being a connector, I guess. And I consistently go through information and consistently update my knowledge to stay ahead of the curve, which I think everyone needs to be doing. So that really does help in terms of being able to, you know, come up with solutions very, very quickly. And I think that is definitely one of my core strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. I would completely agree. And I think, you know, as you say, I think that the coaching element is really, really important, because we can easily make excuses to ourselves, can't we? We can easily kind of say that, oh, you know, I'll do that tomorrow, or that can wait until next week, and then next week becomes next year, and, you know, next year kind of then it never happens. And I think that you are absolutely right. You know, you practice what you preach, so you know that it works. So you mentioned early on in the call that international speaking is a huge part of your life now, and that you do a lot of that, and you're getting opportunities coming to you sort of from all sorts of different directions. So how does it feel for you to actually go out there and inspire so many people? Because it's really quite amazing making change, you know, helping people change their lives. So what does that do for you?
I think it's just a really amazing channel. I mean, I've spoken in the US. I constantly speak in the US. I love speaking in the US. People in the US are so switched on. They're such great action takers, and they really get it. I spoke in the Middle East, and I've got another event coming up actually in Dubai in the next couple of weeks. I've spoken in Europe, and obviously in the UK. I love speaking in the UK, especially in London as well. And these events are great because most of what I put out there is actually content. You know, I teach one whole module of my $15,000-$20,000 program. So, you know, it's not a simple presentation, and the great thing is I get a chance to tell my story, which inspires people as well. So I just want to show people that it's not impossible, right, to be successful, but you need the right guidance, and at the same time you need to be inspired. You know, without inspiration it's very hard to go out there and do stuff. And for me, I'm very fortunate that I get to touch so many people. Speaking, I love speaking. You know, I'm not a trained speaker. I speak from the heart. I go out there and speak. So for me, it's like one of the things I really enjoy doing. So yeah, I get to speak at some amazing events, and for me, you know, it's not a numbers game. You know, I won't stand on the stage and just count the numbers in terms of how many people will buy my program, because my programs are very restricted. You know, I only take on between 4 and 7, 8 people. That's it. If I've got a room full of 1,000 people, or like I had a 5,000 people, it's not about the numbers. You know, mine is about inspiring the numbers, and then obviously there's an opportunity for me to find the best of the best that I can work with, and future stars, because now, which is pretty phenomenal, I have students doing 6 and 7 figure deals. So, you know, when I created this program 2.5 years ago, I set out to say to people that you can achieve a lucrative lifestyle as a 6 or 7 figure joint venture broker. And now, it's phenomenal. I have 2 students who've done 7 figure deals, one actually student who's done 2 7 figure deals 6 months after leaving the program, and I have students doing 6 figure and 5 figure deals. So I'm very fortunate that I have managed to achieve that, what I originally set out to do. So I'm very pleased with that.
And I think you've just hit the key thing there. It's about who you choose to actually work with, isn't it? Because I think that is so important, that you make sure that the people that you do work with, you know that you resonate with them, and that you can help them, and that will help them ultimately to get the success that they really want in their lives. And I totally see where, I'm with you, when you talk about the speaking and getting up onto the stage, because being a speaker myself, I absolutely love to stand up there and inspire people, and a little bit like what you've just said, the smaller audiences actually, I think, can be far more powerful than a larger audience. Now, while we're on this point, let's talk to the audience a little bit about the amazing event that you're coming to speak to, that I'm hosting in London in June. I'm absolutely thrilled that you're coming to Hale and that you're going to be there, because I know that you're going to stand there and do absolutely what you've just said. You're going to be delivering key content. You are going to be really giving the attendees of the Success Bootcamp some clear advice and guidance and information that's going to help them to make some really big changes. So tell me a little bit about what is it that you're going to be sharing?
I'm going to be sharing exactly my journey and the steps that I took to get where I am today, and how people can replicate that, and obviously also giving them an opportunity to to participate and join me and make that happen. I'll also be teaching one whole module from my joint venture brokering business program, so it's good for people to actually go through it and actually experience it. And from that program, it's pretty phenomenal. From that, from the time I have on stage to deliver the training, I have had people walk away and actually implement that and actually make money, which is absolutely awesome. So I can't wait. I mean, the last time I spoke in London, I think, was last year, and that was again a phenomenal event. And I'm the sort of guy that I don't just fly in and fly out. Okay, I'll be there over the couple of days. I think I'm probably in LA a few days before that, in Los Angeles. So I will be flying back from Los Angeles overnight to get to London to speak at Claire's event. So I'll be shortening my trip in Los Angeles and putting my priority to make sure that I get into London on time, so I can help you guys and deliver some phenomenal training for you on how to do joint ventures and how to be successful connecting with people and building relationships.
And that's absolutely fantastic, and I'm so thrilled that you're going to be speaking at the event, because what was really important to me when I put the event together and I looked at the speakers that I was going to have was that we had a real diverse range of speakers, because it's called the Success Bootcamp 2013, so ultimately it's all about success. Now, my area of expertise is very much in the world of finance and money. As you know, Sahel, my background is in the financial services industry, and I worked in the corporate world for sort of 15 years, and I think the thing that I learned the most was that for a lot of people, there's really simple little things that they don't understand that will make all the difference to their business. And Judy May Murphy is going to be coming along as well, as you know, and I think the great thing about Judy May is that what she does is she really hones in on those small, simple little things. And all of the speakers that are coming to the event and that are going to be sharing are really sharing things that will ultimately change your life and change your success completely. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's so important that people do make those changes. And like you say, it's important that what they get from an event is something tangible that they can walk away and take action straight away. And that to me was really important, because I've been to quite a lot of events where basically it's just been a pitch fest and you've had people just, sort of, oh, do this and do that. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong, there are going to be some sales at the event, because obviously what we want to do is make sure that if people do want to take action, then they've got an opportunity to do that. But the key with this is, if they choose not to do that, there is a phenomenal amount of information. I mean, I know that I'm going to be sharing a lot of my insider knowledge from working in the financial services industry. Also, Jack Frangu, the chartered accountant that I've got coming to speak, he's going to be sharing some real fundamental key things about how to run your business on the financial side that really will make a big difference. And I think that, as I said, that was really important to me, that we got that across, that you are going to learn things, you are going to leave this event with a clear plan and a clear strategy.
Excellent.
So for the webinar, we've actually got a little bit of an offer for you guys. The ticket price is actually £297 at the moment, but we've got a code for you where you can actually get a discount off of that. So you can actually get the ticket for £97. Now, because Sahel's asked me to do something extra special for his audience, because he said that you're such a great group of people, what we are actually doing this evening as well is, if you buy a ticket by lunchtime tomorrow, we will actually give you a second ticket free of charge, so you can bring a friend, colleague, partner, somebody along with you that will gain all of that as well. And we're going to be sharing a link with you, so the link for you to actually get on there and check the event out completely, read all the information and look at all the other speakers, is all the www.claireturnermarshall.com/bootcampsales/. Now, have you got that on the screen there, Sahel?
Yeah, I'll put it in right now. Actually, here. So what's the website?
It's www.
Yep.
Claire Turner Marshall. So that's CLARE.
Yep.
.com.
Okay.
/.
Yep.
Bootcamp Sales.
Yep.
/. And your promotion code that will get you the £200 discount off the ticket is SB Sierra Bravo 2013. And as soon as you've purchased your ticket, we will automatically get in touch with you and send you the second complimentary ticket. The event's running from the 7th to the 9th of June in London, and as Sahel said, you know, he's going to be sharing some absolutely fantastic information along with Judy May Murphy, and Stephanie J. Hale's coming as well. She's going to be sharing some really key information about getting your book out there and creating that foundation, and we've got other speakers as well that are really going to make sure that you get something that will help in every single area of your business. And again, that was key to me. And what you're going to be getting from me at the event, as I said, is a lot of insider knowledge from the financial services industry, and the opportunity to actually talk to the speakers, ask us questions. And as Sahel said, you know, he's not just flying in and then shooting back off again. He's going to be there around. So check that out, and we'd love to see you there. But moving on then, so the next question that I've got for you, Sahel, is something that I've learned sort of over the years of doing exactly what you said, doing a lot of reading, developing myself and moving myself forward. And I always find this really intriguing and quite sort of wow when I first heard it. And that is that the Chinese make a 1,000-year plan. And the reason they do this is so that they know what the legacy is going to be when they're not here anymore. So what's the legacy that you want to leave behind, Sahel, and why is that you want to leave that legacy?
Here's the thing. I'm going to turn this whole legacy thing on its head, and I'm going to tell people that you should, rather than preparing for your legacy, you should be living your legacy, okay? So one of the most important things that I've learned is that your legacy is now. You need to be living your legacy rather than trying to prepare for your legacy. So this is what I do. You know, I consistently do things. I consistently have those sort of experiences in my life that, number one, I can tell my grandkids, you know, when I'm however old I am, and I had that opportunity to say, you know, the life I had was an amazing life, was a fantastic life. And also the legacy left behind is going to be pretty much the good that you've done. You know, the people who have benefited from you, and basically spreading that around the world. So, but I would say, in terms of how I see legacy, is instead of preparing for my legacy, I'm living my legacy.
I like that. I like that a lot, and I think that's a really valid point, isn't it? Because again, I think, you know, when we look at how the thought process works and how we do things, you know, a lot of people say that they kind of don't believe in goals because they're all about what's going to happen in the future, and it's very much about living today. So I think that's an absolutely great response to the question, because you are right. It is about living in the now and being present, because I think too often we can live in a world where we hold ourselves back and we say, oh, well, I'll do this when this happens, or I'll go there when I've got this much money in the bank, or I can do that when I've achieved this certain level. And I think you're absolutely right. It is about living in the now. Do you think that you've got that attitude and you've got that sort of thought process from the journey that you've had, Sahel?
I would say 100%. I think the way I talk, the way I think, the way I resonate is a lot to do with my journey. I don't know if I would have been a different person if I didn't go through that journey. But I think my journey has really molded me into who I am today, and I thank God for that. I thank God for that, because I get to resonate with more people, and I get to make some great friendships, rather than being someone who sits on the board of this, you know, big 160 million group, multimillionaire, just interested in building his wealth, acquiring more material assets. I think the change has been a good one for me.
And you're absolutely right. I think you are the perfect example of the fact that there's more to money than being there's more to life even than being a multimillionaire and having all those things. Because, you know, as I said earlier, you know, people, one of the questions I always ask clients when they start working with me is, you know, what are you earning at the moment, and what is it that you want to be earning? And 99% of the time I always get a perfectly round figure. So they say to me, well, I want to earn 800,000, Claire, I want to earn 1 million, or I want to earn 300,000. And what I then follow that up with is, well, why do you want to earn that? Tell me, you know, what does that number mean to you? Because essentially that's all it is a number. And that usually is followed by quite a long pause, because I just stop talking at that point and don't say anything, and I usually then get a quizzical look and then get a response of, well, actually, I don't really know, it just sounds like a good figure. I mean, I remember one lady saying to me, she said, I said, you know, what do you want to earn? And she said, well, I want to earn £100,000. And I said, okay, great, you know, that's actually not too much of a stretch from what you're earning at the moment, but tell me why you want to earn it. And she said, well, there's this group that I want to join, and the criteria is that you need to earn £100,000 to be part of the group. And I went, right, okay. And I said, I'm just going to share something with you. And she said, what's that? And I said, well, you're never ever going to earn it. And she kind of said, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. And I said, well, you're never going to earn that amount of money. And she said, well, why is that? And I said, well, because it doesn't mean anything to you. And I think you've been on the journey where you've done it, you've made it, you've realised that actually there was far more to life than that. And again, one of the things that you mentioned is it's about really enjoying what you do. You know, it's about having that love for what you do. And when you've got that, it really doesn't feel like work, does it? It feels like something that you're just, you know, every single day is something that's really, really enjoyable. And I know that, you know, I just don't feel, I don't feel like I've worked for years because of what I actually do. It's about inspiring people and helping them to change their lives. And so that means that it doesn't feel like you're working. It just feels like you're having a great time every single day.
I agree, and I think, you know, making money is not hard, right? Let me just say that. A lot of people ask me that, you know, I'm not making any money, or I'm finding it difficult to get off the ground or get more clients. Or making money is not too difficult if you don't concentrate too much on the money aspect, okay? If you concentrate on the action aspect by going out there and doing stuff, that's the most important thing that you need to concentrate on. Have a clear path in terms of what you're trying to achieve. If you want to become a coach, then, you know, there's loads of coaches out there. You need to be able to pinpoint who right now is the equivalent coach to where you want to be, and what are they making. Now, if these guys are making, you know, look, I'll give you an example, right? I don't really class myself as a coach or a mentor, okay, in that respect. However, I have seen, you know, over 3 years ago, I saw people doing big coaching programs, okay, and I thought, wow, these guys, there must be something really special about them. You know, one guy, I won't name him, but he's a good friend of mine. I know him pretty well. He charges $100,000 minimum a year for his for a 12-month coaching program. And I just look at that and think, wow, you know, how are these guys doing that? And what it's about, they built their platform, right? And they took the initiative to seize it. Okay, to go out there and say, you know what, I'm gonna seize that opportunity and make that opportunity mine. And then what happens is a lot of people are now following these people, and instead of seizing the opportunity for themselves, they would rather pay someone else who's actually seized that opportunity. So you have to create that opportunity if it's not there, and control the opportunity. You know, make it yours. Whereas something that I've done, for example, you know, a one-day you know, consult with me, you know, $25,000. I mean, I could charge $50,000, $100,000, and there are people that would pay that. So I think you have to always be testing the boundaries and throwing things out there and seeing what sticks in that respect. But don't just throw things out there to see if they stick. If you're throwing it, throw it in the right direction. Throw it in the direction of people that have money. Okay, throw it in the direction of people who need what you have. So you've got to find those people first, and then you have to start progressively moving towards them. So, I mean, that is how I've done it. That is how I know, you know, friends who I have who are multimillionaires. I mean, even billionaires have done it, and it works.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely great. And the thing that you've just really hit on there again comes back to the strategy, and it is so important, strategy, and that you are actually, like you say, you know, throwing it at the people that really are your target audience, because, you know, a lot of people just don't have that detail down, and because they don't have that detail down, they throw it and then end up wasting a huge amount of time, a huge amount of energy, usually a huge amount of money as well, and it's all down to the fact that it's about being specific. And I know we were having a quick chat before we came on live, and we were talking about LinkedIn, and you were saying, you know, how good LinkedIn's been, and I think that, you know, what a lot of people do is they fail to realize the power of online nowadays. I mean, I know I personally get quite a lot of business through LinkedIn as well. In fact, probably 40% of my business comes through LinkedIn, because there's key people on there. And I think the really interesting thing that a lot of people miss is there are connections that you would never ordinarily get in touch with unless LinkedIn was there. I mean, one of my connections on LinkedIn is John Fanning, the CEO of Napster. Now I approached him because I wanted to do some work with the company, and we're working out some stuff together now and doing some things. And the really interesting thing was, he was somebody that I would never have been able to speak to unless I was actually using that platform in the most effective way. And what did that come back to? It came back to the strategy.
Yeah, and again, that's the most important thing. I mean, you have to have a strategy in place as well, and for that, you need to be able to go through any material that you have, or for that, you'll need a coach, for example, or you'll need a mentor to help you.
Yeah, totally, because they're the people that help you actually get it together and make all the difference, really, aren't they? So, sort of a final question for you, Suhail, and this is something that I've asked quite a few people this question over the last few months. John Lee, one of the other speakers at the Success Bootcamp, being one of them, and I made him cry. I also made Judy Mae Murphy cry asking her this question last week as well, so I hope I'm not going to do the same for you. But my question is, what's something that you've done in your life, Suhail, that you are the most proud of?
I think that's a difficult one. I think the thing that I've done in my life, probably that I'm most proud of. I would put it down to this. I would say the thing that I've done I think I've been the most proud of is doing my job, or doing my duty as a coach and a mentor to people who have put their trust in me and who have invested their time and money, and I've delivered for them. Basically, I think I'm really proud of being able to help so many people and see them achieve. I'm really proud of the fact that you get these people who take my material or my programs, for example. They get to spend time with me. I get to mentor them, and they achieve what we originally set out to achieve. I mean, I think that for me is the biggest thing. Making a bold statement to people in terms of what I can help them achieve, and then when I see them achieve that, I think for me that's probably one of the proudest things that I can say, hand on heart, and also it's inspiring people, seeing people inspired to be able to say, what, there is a way, I can do this, or this is going to help me tremendously. Thank you very much. So I think that would be the main ones.
And that's absolutely phenomenal, because that I think that says a huge amount about your values, and the fact that to you what is really, really important is actually getting tangible results. I mean, I know that as I said, that there are some coaches out there, as there are people in every single industry, that kind of say that they're going to do something and then don't quite deliver what they've promised. And I think that it shows a huge amount about your integrity, that is the thing that you're most proud of, and that people really do get that from you, and get the confidence that when they do work with you, they absolutely get those results. So Suhail, it has been an absolute pleasure to interview this evening, and thank you so much for agreeing to this. And I'm even more excited now, and even more looking forward to speaking on the same stage as you at the Success Bootcamp 2013. We're going to have an absolutely phenomenal 3 days there, so it would be amazing for you to join us. Please check out the details, check out all the other speakers, as I said, on the page, and hopefully we'll see you there. But other than that, thank you so much for your time this evening, and I wish you a very, very good evening. And again, thanks very much, Suhail.
Thank you, Claire, for having me. And again, everyone, remember, this is a special offer just for anyone watching this webinar interview, that if you go to that website again, claireturnermarshall.com/bootcamp sales / use the promo code SB2013, and when you purchase your ticket, don't forget you'll also get an extra guest ticket free as well. So definitely go for that right now. Thank you.
Fabulous, and we'll see you hopefully in a few weeks' time.
Cheers, Claire. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks you, and you too. Bye bye, everybody. Good evening.